Hi, I'm Kevin McDonald and welcome to the Progressive Property YouTube channel. I've been in property for over 18 years now and I'm known as the UK's leading expert in creative, no money down property investment strategies. And in today's video, I'm going to be answering your questions from the YouTube community. We're building a great community here on YouTube. If you want to be part of that community, make sure you like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Right, let's go through some of your questions and get you the answers right now. Broke to wealthy, that's me. Literally, I was in over 100+ grand of debt. Then I came over to the UK and I started investing in off-plan property abroad in the early 2000s and I dug myself a massive financial hole. I spent from 2003 to 2013 dealing with mindset issues, financial issues, and eventually I came to Progressive Property 2013 and started to learn how to do property correctly. I went from okay financially to completely broken in massive debt to now what I would consider significantly wealthy. So I have a multi-million pound property portfolio. I am an actual net worth millionaire, okay, multi-millionaire. And I've done okay for myself, but I didn't do it in 6 months. I've done it over a few years. Work hard enough to not have to work hard. So let's look at some of the comments on this video, starting from zero to a multi-million pound property business. Adele Stevenson. What is Adele's comment? Adele Stevenson says, oh, in capitals, is this, in capitals, is Jeff Bezos's new job. Really? I might look like Jeff Bezos. I look like Jeff Bezos possibly, but I wouldn't mind being a pound behind him. I wouldn't. Thanks Adele for the feedback. Appreciate it. That's actually quite funny. So we've got a comment from Mahir Ahmed. Now you need to watch this video, right? So broke to wealthy to understand this comment, but he goes, definitely keep the Pringles lampshade. So when I went into one of our properties when we purchased it, in one of the bedrooms there was literally a Pringles lampshade. In here is a piece of engineering excellence, a Pringles lampshade. The first of its kind in the UK. The only one I've ever seen. It is a Pringles lampshade. I mean, is that a fire risk or what? I won't be keeping it, Mahir, but I have got a photo just for long-term amusement. If you've ever experienced some funny stuff, if you've seen anything funny in a property, I'd love to know as well. Comment below this video, let us know what you've seen. Let us know what sort of crazy stuff you've come across on any property viewings you've done. But I reckon a Pringles lampshade is up there with the best of them. I mean, it would probably be more expensive to buy a packet of Pringles and eat them than it was to buy an actual lampshade. So Mahir, unfortunately, I'd love to keep it, but it's gotta go. It's gotta go. Sarah Lowe, or Sarah, wow. She says people who have nothing can't even afford to go to Turkey or Bulgaria, etc. This guy, by the way, the Turkey Bulgaria comment is, when I invested in Eastern Europe back in the early 2000s, I bought off-plan property abroad in Turkey and Bulgaria. This guy, she means me, has not started from zero. He had money for flights and money to buy his houses. No matter how cheap they are, there is still fees, etc. to pay. What this title is saying is lies. It's lies. Sarah, no it's not. You see, back in 2002, I had around 8 grand of savings and I went to the property investor show at the Excel Centre and I could put down a small upfront deposit on off-plan property abroad. There was a property in Estonia which cost 36 grand, a property in Bulgaria for just under 90 grand. Them two I got from the property investor show. There was also one in Turkey that I got from a different investment show that I paid 50 odd grand for, so just under 50 grand. Now these 3 properties adding up in total was well over 130 odd grand. I put down staged payments. So you could get in, this is what they did. They got you in on a small initial payment, as little as a couple of grand, right? So I spread my 8 grand across 3 properties. I was young and stupid. I was naive. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any education. They had to, as they built the property, the first levels go on, the roof goes on, the watertight made, there's payments. When it's finished, there's a payment. There was promises of mortgages in 2007. But you see, I couldn't get a mortgage in Bulgaria. I definitely couldn't get one in Estonia because they never actually built the property. And I had to sell the Turkey one for half what I paid for it to try and stay afloat. I had to take out credit cards and personal loans, Sarah. If you want to come and meet me, I will show you the credit cards and the personal loans that I took out with Barclays, with Halifax here in the UK. I was lucky I was Irish because I had to take one out with Allied Irish Bank in Ireland. I had 7 different credit cards and I used to have money on 4 of them on 0% interest on transfers. And every time it had come to the end of the transfer period, I'd balance transfer it onto one of the other 3 cards. So card 1 went on to card 5, card 2 went on to card 6, card 3 went on to card 7, card 4 went back onto card 1. And I played that game for years, trying to stay afloat while I tried to reduce that debt through a job. I put down 8 grand on stuff that was over 135 grand. The Bulgaria property was completely trashed. It's absolutely valueless. The Turkey one I sold at half the price. The Estonia one never got built, Sarah. So it's easy to come on a YouTube video and go, this guy is talking lies. It's easy to do that. But I know what I did. I did nothing from 2007 to 2013, only tried to dig my way out of that debt in a job. I came back in 2013 with still all of that debt hanging over me, and I built a property business through using creative strategies like rent to rents, like profit share on rent to rent. You don't need any money to do a profit share deal. You can do lease options where you can control somebody else's mortgage for as little as £1. I can joint venture. You can private investor finance. You can do all of those strategies with other people's money, Sarah. I'm going to show you an email from my property in Bulgaria showing what happened. And this is an email with all of the owners that we've got a group. There's 56 apartments all owned by English and Irish investors. This is an email between the investors dated the 31st of October 2016. By the way, I still own this property. It's still going on today. I'm in Bansko now and I have seen Three Mountains. It's terrible. Three Mountains Holiday Village is the complex. No water or electricity. Many window frames removed at the back. Wiring has been ripped out for scrap. The local gossip is that the local mafia are intent on scaring us away so that they can develop it. We already know the lengths they will go to. We know we will not have support from the municipality, the courts or the police. So that is our complex. Condition of Three Mountains, October 2016. Completely trashed. So yes, I did buy stupid properties abroad, Sarah. Yes, it is completely trashed. That is but the Bansko, Bulgaria property. Now, I'm going to show you something else. This is a condition report for my Bansko property, and you can see, dated 2009, what the complex looked like, and 2020, what it looks like. That is 2020, completely smashed up. That was 2009, looking really beautiful 2009, looking completely smashed up 2020. The internals of the complex, that's the stairs, that's the internals, that's the kitchens, completely gone. Have I just created those pictures? Did I not lose all my money in Bulgaria? Did I not buy the wrong type of property? Did I not start with massive debt? This is my Parnu in Estonia apartment that never got built. This is my email to the company, which I don't mind mentioning, by the way, because they ripped me off. Churchill Village in Estonia. This was to estoniaproperty.co.uk. Harriet, from me, Kevin McDonald, Harriet. Following our phone conversation this morning regarding the delays to Churchill Village. This was 2007, by the way, right? As discussed on the phone, I am very disappointed that Churchill's failed to notify me of any delays to the construction. Never mind the fact that it has not even began. It wasn't worth anything. It was never built. I didn't own the land. I owned an apartment in the 2nd floor. You know, one of those things that doesn't exist in the fresh air? So there was nothing to sell. There was no value. I didn't own the freehold. It was worth absolutely nothing. It never got built. There you go, Sarah. Are you happy now? If you're enjoying this content, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Warrior Spirit. What is that your real name? Honestly, that is an awesome name for your family to give you at birth. Warrior Spirit. Or maybe that's not your name. Let me know what your real name is. But anyway, Warrior has a question. Are your 4-bed HMOs actually registered as HMOs, or can you let the property to 4 people sharing without doing the full spec for HMO? Now, Warrior, I'm going to get to your answer in a moment. And this is an exact example of why it's dangerous to listen to people who don't know what they are doing, who are not fully educated. Because you've had a response from Tom Murphy, and Tom, it sounds like you're not fully trained or educated on HMOs, because you've said must be registered as a HMO, exclamation mark, smiley face. Tom, that is not true. It depends. If you are in an Article 4 area, you need to be on the HMO licensed HMO register. Article 4 area, 3 or more people in a house, unrelated people, that is a licensable HMO. And you need planning permission if you were to convert another property to a HMO. If you are in a non-Article 4 area, which is still the majority of the UK, if you're in an area that's outside of Article 4, then 5 or more people in a property, people not bedrooms, requires you to have a HMO license. If you have got 4 people in a property, then it's an unlicensed HMO. However, it might not require to be registered, but you have got a duty of care to your tenants. So what do I mean by a duty of care? Well, you want to be able to sleep at night. And ignoring HMO legislation, you have got health and safety law. You need fire doors. You need a mains connected smoke alarm system. You need to make sure that you keep your tenants safe. Because if one of your tenants was to fall asleep at night with a lit cigarette and burn the house down, and you've got a 4-bed house, your defense being it's a 4-bed, I don't have a license, that's not a defense. Okay, and this is so important about getting the right education, guys, because there's so many comments that I see on social media that are just absolutely incorrect. So I've got another comment, and you want to go on this video, Broke to Wealthy, go right to the bottom of the video and see one of the last comments, unless there's new ones added. But I'm looking at Manky Brains. Manky Brains, right? Manky Brains, right? In this video, Manky Brains says, sorry, thumbs down for not showing more properties, smiley face. Manky Brains, right? I showed around 15 plus properties in that video. 15 plus properties. What did you want me to show? 20 plus? 25 plus? 30 plus? I could have been around all day. I should quit and never do this again. If you want me to never do another video again, let me know you never want me to do another one again. If you want me to do another one again, if you want me to keep adding value, keep giving this content out there, below the video, just say, yes, please, I want more. And Manky Brains, if you're around, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to have it, show you around. I'll take you around. I'll show you them all. Fraser, LK50. I'd love to know what the LK50 means. It says, get rid of that apprentice. Bet he doesn't even iron his shirts. Brilliant. Fraser, he's almost in the job a year now, and we have fun every single day. So, Fraser, he doesn't iron his shirts. He doesn't use deodorant. He doesn't shower. No, he does. He's actually really good. He's a good guy. He's good. We have some fun. We create a good environment to work in. But Fraser, I'm going to pass your comment on to him. I'm going to let him know that you think I should get rid of him. And I'm going to keep him though. How does getting in first on a corporate sale help you? Estate agents have to keep the property open to everyone until sold. Mark, yes. So what will typically happen with estate agents is some of them, a corporate sale would go on to typically one agent, maybe 2 agents. Sometimes they'll go in auctions. It depends how it's been sold. Now, with estate agents, quite often they have to market it. So they've got to show your offer. You put an offer in, and there's 14 days that they have to put it in a paper. They put it in a paper in a little corner, out of the way, in a paper that's out of area even, or in the area, but nobody bloody reads it. So yes, it's marketed. But have you ever tried to ring up an agent to view a house? And by the way, I did this a lot when I was starting out and I didn't have a relationship with the agent. You got to build that relationship where they say they don't have the keys, or they lost the keys, or the person with the keys is not in the office today. And what they're doing is they know, right, the agent wants to get paid. And the agents know that if they stick with somebody who will guarantee a completion, right, somebody who's got the cash to buy, they want to make sure that they get that sale done. Build your relationship with the agents and you would be surprised that you can pick up corporate sales where the keys are lost, where there's no other viewings. Let's pick the first buy to let. This is buying my first buy to let property during lockdown. So we've got a really interesting comment here from Meth VS02. So don't know your real name, Meth, but let's call you Meth. Meth says, only 20k profit, right, for all that work and risk. Sounds piss poor to me. Well, Meth, clearly you're a Lamborghini driving 5 holidays a year in 5-star hotels type of person. Obviously 20 grand profit, right, for going into a deal that cost you none of your own money. 20 grand profit, it ain't worth getting up out of bed for, Meth. In the UK, the average salary is 27 grand before tax. 27 grand. But it's not worth getting up out of bed to make 20 grand profit on a property deal that's leveraged and outsourced to builders to deliver it for you. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the hassle. I'd love to see your bank account. I really would, Meth. I'd love to see your bank account because there's a lot of people out here, there's a lot of people in this country where 20 grand could change their lives. So Tara Carr, you've asked a question here. He said he has money to buy the house. So the money he used to buy the house, first of all, Tara, was private investor finance. What if you have some money but not enough to buy it outright? You could do exactly, Tara, what he did, which was private investor finance. You could do joint venture finance. Now you could buy it with a mortgage and use your money for the deposit portion as well. However, you got to consider around fixed rate mortgages, around non-redemption penalty mortgages, and how long you plan before you do the refinance, because there's criteria around that you need to be aware of. But can you mortgage a house and rent it out, and is that profitable? Then if you want to buy 2 houses, can you buy and rent both out with a mortgage over you? So Tara, yes. You can buy a property with a mortgage, rent it out and make money. Okay? Ideally though, what you want to do is buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. The refurbish is you're buying a cosmetically distressed house, refurbishing it so you're adding value to the property, then put it on a mortgage and rent it out. The rental income, let's say, is £800 a month. The mortgage is £450 a month, and you're going to make £350 a month profit on that deal. So the difference between the mortgage, the rent minus the mortgage, and your management costs and any maintenance issues. Ideally, you're looking for, after management maintenance, maybe £250 a month profit from that deal. There's a difference between how you finance a residential property and how you finance a buy-to-let property. A buy-to-let property, the lending is not necessarily against your income. So they want to see that you've got some income, but the lending is against primarily the income achievable from that property. So what the lenders typically look at is 130% rent coverage. So what does that mean? Well, if you've got a £100 a month mortgage, the rent needs to be £130. £200 a month mortgage, rent needs to be £260. £300 a month mortgage, rent needs to be £390, and so on. Residential property purchases is based on your income from your salary or your job, or wherever you create your income. If you're self-employed, for instance, you could still get residential mortgages. Certain lenders lend in different ways. Okay, so let's look at another one of our videos, how I quit my job and built a property business. This was an interview I did with one of our students, Luke Brendley. Now, Luke was working offshore on an oil rig, trying to build his property business remotely, and pulled it off. So we've got a comment here from Kyle James. Great interview, guys. What's the best way to borrow money? As in, do you set up a company with the JV partner, or if you purely borrow cash for deals and offer them an interest, what's the best way to set this up? Would you put them as first charge on the deal? When you're borrowing money or lending money, especially if you're lending money, you need to be very careful. I do a lot of joint venture finance. I do a lot of private investor finance. I have never handled somebody else's money. I don't need their money in my bank account. I need their money in my solicitor's bank account so they can purchase that property. So when you're looking at a structure, joint venture or private investor, they're very, very different. With a private investor loan, so let's say I'm just going to lend you some money for a deal if you're doing a deal, Kyle. So what we would do is you would have a property, I would be looking to lend that money to you, ideally on what's called a first charge, just like a mortgage company would lend money on a first charge. Now, lenders will typically lend 75% of the purchase price. And this is why private investor finance is important, because a lot of private investors will lend 100%, but for the first charge. Now, if I have the first charge, what that means is I've got security. You have to pay me back or I can take possession of the house. Just the very same as a mortgage company, if you don't pay them their mortgage, can take possession of the property. So you buy the property with my funding, you refurbish it, and then once the refurb is done, you refinance it onto the longer term traditional buy-to-let lending. I get paid my money back with my interest, or your investor, whoever that may be. So that's one way that you can do this. First charge is ideal. Wealthy people spend their money trying to save time. Poor people spend their time trying to save money. Do not pedestalize the money. Pedestalize your knowledge, your experience, your time, because that's the most valuable asset. Money is everywhere. There's more money on this planet than there's ever been. Enough to make everyone on earth a billionaire. But you know what? Time you can never get back. The wealthy realize this. The wealthy are wanting to invest their funds into you because you save them time. They get a return on their money. It is a complete win-win. So we got a comment here from Marcus Stewart. Sounds like he has done well for himself and achieved financial freedom. If you have the capital available, is it possible to pay cash at auction, say 75 grand for argument's sake? No arguments here, but yes you can. Then spend cash on refurb 25k, yes so far. Then refinance onto a buy-to-let interest-only mortgage, absolutely. So you can buy property for cash, whether it be an auction, direct to vendor, or through an estate agent. You could buy a property, let's say 75 grand, 25 grand on a refurb, and then refinance it once that work is done. Yes, you can. I understand that most lenders like to stick to the 6-month rule and also don't like refinancing on properties bought using SPVs by property investors. Not sure where you understood that from, because that is absolutely untrue, Marcus. And this comes back again to getting advice from people who are not actually doing it. The hearsay from the mate down the pub, or somebody that's a keyboard warrior in a Facebook community saying, oh, you got the 6-month rule, and oh, banks don't like lending to companies. That's not true. Absolutely not true. So, number one, the 6-month rule is around you buy a property with a mortgage, you got to refinance that property 6 months later. You will have to wait 6 months to get a refinance, okay? If you buy in your personal name, you'll have to wait 6 months before you could refinance, typically even if you buy cash. You buy within a limited company. I'll give you an example. I purchased a property in a limited company in September 2020. We refurbished it and then refinanced it with Fleet Mortgages in November 2020. Within about 10 weeks of the purchase, we refinanced it onto a mortgage. You do not need to wait 6 months in a limited company so long as you buy cash first. And there's lots of lenders out there who will lend to companies that have got, and what they're talking about SPVs is they're talking about the structure of the company, where you've got a holding company and then you've got SPV, special purpose vehicles, below the holding company. There is lenders that will lend in that basis. Some of the high street lenders might not, but lenders like Fleet Mortgages, Kent Reliance, Foundation Home Loans, Shawbrook Bank, Cambridge and Counties, I could go on and on. These lenders will lend against that structure. LendInvest, another one. These type of lenders that aren't the mainstream high street lenders. Property investors, most of my portfolio, and I've got a large portfolio, they're not with high street banks. I got very, very few, less than a handful of mortgages with the high street banks, the ones that like the Woolwich or Barclays, those type of lenders. Most of them are with the the non-mainstream lenders. So I hope that helps, Marcus, but yeah, you understand incorrectly basically. So I hope you listen to this. I hope you've got some value, because quite often what happens is people hear the wrong advice, see the wrong advice. I mean, the answer to everything's on Google, right? The problem is Google gives you the wrong answer, because Google gives you the answer that somebody who's never done it types into Google and says, oh, you can't do that. And then somebody starting out that's really new listens to it. And that little bit of advice is dangerous, because it's the wrong advice, number one. And it's about making sure you educate yourself, making sure you're around people who are actually doing it. Anytime anybody gives me some advice, I say, is that advice that you heard from someone else? Or is that something that you have experienced yourself? And then if they have experienced themselves, you got to dig a little bit deeper around why have they experienced it? Is that the actual reason, or was it something else, but they thought it was that reason? But Marcus, you can 100% refinance properties within a limited company inside 6 months. You can absolutely buy cash, refurbish, and then refinance. And you can get lending through special purpose vehicles, i.e. limited companies. That's just some of the comments we've got. Remember, we do videos every single week, so we're getting lots of comments coming through. If you've enjoyed this episode, then let us know in the comments box, and maybe we'll do some more of these in the future. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I've been Kevin McDonald. You've been amazing. See you next time.